I got to start this off this way because, like you did on myself, I was doing a ton of research on you. I already know a lot about you before, but I couldn't figure this out. I'm going to pull up a picture from the Bench Mob.
Okay, all right.
Dude,
okay.
Is that you? Or is that Big
No,
Cheese? That's somebody else,
that's
right?
that's Jacob Lindgren, who
One of your
was
boys.
drafted by the Yankees, right? And
Yep.
made it up super quick. One of my really good friends who was also my wedding. But so the Bench Mob video, man, I tell you, so 2013, it was, college kids, like we're trying to, have some fun. And that was at the time when what was that challenge called where you would basically be dancing or kind of just hanging out, and then it would shift to a song, and then you would just go crazy. Like people were doing it
Yeah,
under the
the
under the
Miami Heat,
water.
LeBron and everybody did that. I know
Dude,
exactly what
yeah,
you're talking about. Yeah, shoot, I can't think of it off the top of my head.
whatever
But
that
I
was
know
called.
exactly what you're talking
So
about.
kind of started with that, and we did that in like the outfield, and then one of our other teammates, it was like Lindgren, one of my buddies, Evan Mitchell, and another one, Ross Mitchell. They were like three like founders of the Bench Mob, I guess you could say. And I wasn't a part of the video, but I saw him recording it. And at the time, I just thought, oh, this is like, dude, this is so dumb. I'm not getting in this video. And ended up, we go to the World Series, and that's like the talk. It's like the Bench Mob. Like they had like, in a certain inning, they had a rally where a guy would freestyle, for the whole inning. And if he got a run, he would keep it, just like little things. And it kind of transpired. And college, you got to keep the energy up, in the dugout. So that was a huge thing. And it kind of turned into the Bench Mob, and then we ended up getting beat in the finals of the College World Series that year. And yeah, just kind of that was the story of, and that was from the video shoot that they did out in front of the dugout. And that was lingering. Yeah.
Dude, yeah, and we're still talking about it today. That's how great of a baseball
I'm
video
telling
that
you,
it was,
man.
is that it still lives
Yeah.
on today. And I'll tell you what, I thought like 99% sure that that was not you because I watched the video a bunch of times. I listened to the lyrics and
Yeah.
all that other stuff. But here's what threw me off is that last night, before wrapping up for the rest of the night and just getting everything prepared for today, I saw a picture of you on Google and I'm like, this kind of looks very, very similar. But
Oh,
I think it's
wow. You
just the
know
hat
what?
thing. But
That's
I'm showing up as side by side and you guys
okay.
look a lot
Yeah.
alike in this
And
picture.
I'll tell you what, if I shave off my beard there, you're probably looking at like that's, yeah. I mean, that's very close.
How about this look, the Jonathan Holder look? Yo, the
Look at
dude's
this,
looking like
dude.
Kenny Powers, Mr. All America over
Hey,
here.
that was his alter ego, man, when he was coming in out of the bullpen, and that hair was just jumping. I remember it like it was yesterday. He kind of embraced that rugged look, and man, he would come out and just dominate. And that was when kind of Eastbound and Down was kind of at its peak, and he's Kenny Powers, and he's doing his thing, man. Oh yeah, it's the best. I'm reliving some good time.
I know, man. We're off to a great start. And everybody, thank you so much for hopping on and listening and watching this show. We got Major League Baseball pitcher Brandon Woodruff. The dude's an all-star, two-time all-star at the time of this recording. I'm sure he's going to be many more after this. But thank you so much for hopping on the show, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it, man. And hopefully there's many more to come. But if I'm stuck at two, you know what? That's a one. Making one was just like a huge deal for me. So anything after that is just icing on the cake.
Yes, sir. And we're going to get into your story, and we're going to start at the
Okay.
very beginning.
All right.
Wheeler's finest, Wheeler, Mississippi. Now,
Okay.
you're a small town dude and ended up playing in the big leagues. Just go back to those early beginning stages where you just kind of fell in love with baseball and how you grew up.
Yeah. Man, I tell you, I still right now to this day, all of my family, my wife's family is all from basically the same area. Her grandparents lived in Wheeler, and me and my wife, we actually graduated together and got married. Now we have a little girl. So I tell you what, growing up, it was t-ball, going to the park. Like I loved everything about just going to the park, playing with my friends. And then it kind of got into, but I was always I would say good, like when I was in coach pitch, they would want me to move up a age group and play in the kid pit or whatever it is, where you first start really getting into like real baseball. And then I started to play with like a traveling baseball team at the age of probably 8 or 9, and I was playing a year up. So that's where the love kind of first started. And my brother, who I don't know if you know about it, but he had an accident, passed away when I was in Double A. But from him is who being around the game every day. He loved it. He played junior college baseball. I was around it all the time. He was 5 years older than me, so growing up, high school, I was a manager of the high school team. Whenever I was young, my brother was up there, and it's just like being around the game every single day. That's where kind of the love of baseball was. It was, and I see now having a kid, I can only imagine what it's going to be like. But when my dad would get home from working all day, it was immediate, like, hey, let's go out in the backyard and let's take some ground balls, let's throw or whatever. And it's like, I would have to fight him on it to get him out there. And he's like, no, son, I just got home. I'm tired, but he would do it. And you look back on those moments and it's like, man, there's just that was the times where it was just, you were just a kid having fun. And honestly, baseball was like, obviously it's my sport, but basketball was probably my first love. And my high school has the most state championships in basketball, like 1 through 6A. I'm pretty sure that record still holds, but I think we have 11 or 12 total. And we're a little small 1A school. So like the saying was kind of like, you play school and they teach basketball at my high school. So it was like, you come out of the womb, man, you're dribbling a basketball. So basketball was probably my first love, but I think and baseball was something I just naturally was good at and was just around from a young age, and fell in love with it that way and kind of just, stuck with me.
First off, sorry again about your brother. He seemed like he was an awesome man from all the research that I did, and we're definitely going to talk about him. And
okay.
He had a great impact on you as a kid and throughout your professional career. And it's a huge reason why we're here today, which I'm sure brings a smile to your face because he's with you every single day. And
of course.
And
of course.
You talk about school and everything. And there was one of your principals who said that in the town that you grew up, you look left, you look right, you've seen it all. There's like 4 stop signs in the town. You know what I mean?
Like, dang, you're digging deep. Okay.
I try.
Right.
Dude, I even dug as deep as finding out that Elvis Presley and who else? Diplo, the DJ, and
okay,
and
so
Brian
I didn't know
Dozier.
Diplo. I was on MLB and Dozier, and Mitch Moreland's from Amory. Chris Stratton, who was a pitcher for the Pirates, he's my throwing partner. We live 10 minutes from each other. But hey, I can tell you're well prepared. And I was on MLB Network, and they asked me about Elvis and what my favorite song was, and I absolutely froze. And I was like, you know what? It's really, I just can't think of one right now, and it was so funny. But and everybody from back home was like, dude, I can't believe you don't even know a song. You can't, I got worn out about that one. So, but yeah. And I found out the Diplo's from Mississippi. I didn't know that.
Dude, I love Diplo, man. And that's pretty wild when you think about it, is that you have these great musicians. These obviously they're in different classes, but like, dude, Elvis Presley, and we're talking again a town like you said. You look left, you look right. You've seen it all. 4 stop signs, and then there's you, which is just amazing. And now when you go to Wheeler, there's the Welcome to Wheeler, home of Brandon Woodruff. Like, dude, talk about a boss. So let's.
Man,
isn't that wild?
It's so crazy, and like, I'm from it's just such a small, it's just a community. It's not, I mean, it's just a community. And it's kind of crazy now every time I go to my parents who still live in the same house, and I come across that sign, and it's like, welcome to Wheeler, and you see your name, and it's like, you know what, that's pretty cool. And
hell yeah.
I think I was really the first. I got drafted out of high school, and that was a big deal, and played in the Under Armour All-American game. And I think I was really kind of the first, especially baseball player to really get that kind of notoriety. And they Wheeler, they take such great pride in it, and it's so cool to kind of represent such a small town, small community, and it kind of gives hope for kids who are come from small places, and I'm sure we'll get into that and kind of how that journey. But yeah, man, you go to the high school gym back home, you walk in, and there's probably like I don't know. It's probably like a 10 by 10 sign right when you walk in the gym, and it's got Homer, Brandon Woodruff, and it's got me pitching in high
Yep.
school, in college, and in the big leagues. And then they've got a whole trophy case with all my jerseys, and it's just cool. They love it, and I'm happy that I'm from Wheeler and grew up there, and I get a different perspective, on life growing up small town.
Big time, man. They love you. And even before high school in seventh grade, you wrote an essay saying that you want to be a big league player, which I do believe. I do want to know though, is it true that there was a parent who had a highway patrol, state patrol radar gun that they used to clock you
Oh
throwing a
gosh.
baseball that you got 60 miles per hour? I read that and I needed to ask
Jeez,
about that because
I don't
that's,
even know where you
dude, that's,
found that, but that
yeah,
is
yeah.
true. They so it
You
was at
are the
Parkball
father.
one night. Yeah, I tell you what, it was at a Boonville Park League game one night, and I remember my dad. He was telling me this after the game, but they had a guy. He was just a police officer or highway patrol. I can't really remember, but he had his radar detector in his car, and they were shooting, seeing how hard I was throwing. And yeah, that's right. I mean, that was from shoot. I totally forgot about that until you mentioned that. But my dad, I remember him telling me that story, and that's so funny. But yeah, that happened.
That's wild because you know the movie The Rookie with Jim Morris?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had him on. We just recorded recently. And
Oh,
and
cool.
and in the movie, you remember the scene where he's on the street and he's throwing and it's the like the
Yeah,
I'm
it's
probably
like
butchering
the
this word.
street
What is it,
sign. Yeah.
speedometer? Yes,
So
yeah.
yeah.
And it like shows the miles per hour. That didn't actually happen in real life, but we got you, Brandon Woodruff, a young dude,
Yeah.
a young dude who is like that. Pretty much
Just a
did
little
happen to
kid,
you, so
man.
that's
This kid,
funny.
man, this kid throws hard. Let's get the radar on him out of the cop car
Yeah.
here and see what he's doing. Yeah. Could have been way off though. Could have been way off.
Yeah.
Could have been way off. We don't know. But this thing might have
That's
been
true.
might have been jacked up a little bit. So
Oh, man. So while your dad, you needed to persuade him at times to go in the back and play baseball with you. He did play a part in building the stadium that you eventually played at in high school. So that's
hmm
kind of cool. I mean, you were a hitter and a pitcher back then, so I'm sure
yeah,
that you love the 340-foot and 360-foot fence out in the outfield as a hitter. A
exactly.
pitcher, maybe not so much, but you're a great pitcher. But
Yeah.
that's so cool that he played a part in what you played on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a great dad right there.
Yeah, and growing up, it was anytime you needed work done on the field, it was. I remember the times that we would redo the infield, and we would have to go by our side, and it was like we'd have like a Saturday where the team would just come out and redo the infield. And by no means is this like a major league infield where this thing is perfectly laser leveled. Like it's just what we had. We had some sod, we laid it out, had some grass. If we could have green grass, that was like the best thing ever. Like having green grass was like priority number one. We didn't care what the surface, if it was lumpy or whatever. And then I just remember growing up as a kid and redoing the mound. I remember doing that and getting it ready for one of the years, and just all kind of stuff. I mean, I was always out there shagging BP when I was little, and my brother and them were practicing, and yeah, just I was there every day. Like I would get out of school and I couldn't wait to go to baseball practice and mix the Gatorade and get ready for the games, and like just get the helmets and the bats and all that. So but yeah, we kind of had to do our own work, and I tell you what, since I've left in 2011, I think there's been I think they might have put some flower beds in behind the dugouts and maybe
Ah,
something else. So that's a big upgrade. Like maybe some new bleachers, but other than that, it has not changed because I did a little series with Fairway Mortgage, a company that I partnered with in Milwaukee, and they came down and did some filming and stuff. And we went to the high school field, and I was like, man, this is crazy. It just hasn't changed one bit. And I just remember those days when I'm pitching and there's 20, 25 scouts back behind home plate, and just seeing that. And they would always, come down the line and watch me warm up and all kind of crazy stuff. And of course, 1A ball, like if somebody could throw 80 to 82, like that was just somebody who threw super hard. And I'm not exactly sure what I was throwing back then, and how, probably 90, 92, somewhere in there, and maybe touch a 4. But yeah, it was crazy. It just brought back a ton of memories. And yeah, you're right. It was 310 down the lines and like 340 in the gap and 360 dead center. So, I mean, we thought it was big time back then. If you could hit one out, you got some pop. Especially you had
Yeah.
the Ethan Stealth comps, man. You had those, like, it was like a rubber, like a trampoline coming off those bats back in the day.
Hey, well, you had some good timing with one of those home runs because it was in front of the Texas Rangers scout who would eventually
Yeah,
draft you. But
yeah.
have more people wanted to play baseball at your high school? Because at the time, and I feel like I should have mentioned this earlier along the lines of from a small town, your graduating class was around 40 or 50 people, and
Hmm.
that was one of the larger graduating classes. And there's
Yep.
about, 12 people who played baseball. So
Hmm.
have kids seeing your impact at the big league level make them want to play baseball where you're from? And also too, like, dude, that's pretty wild, man. There's literally 40 or 50 kids in your
Yeah.
graduating class, 12 people on the team, and you have 28 scouts, you said, coming to these games.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Unbelievable.
I tell you, yeah, I think we graduated with just a touch over 40, and at the time, it was the biggest to come through. I think that your probably average class will be 30, give or take, and it's just super small. And yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think about. I mean, we had 12 people on the team. I mean, it's like one of those where if you pitch or if you catch, hey, you might have to go pitch. You got to take the catcher's gear off to go pitch, or like you get done pitching, you got to go play third or center field or whatever it may be. And um, it's wild. And just to think about this, you know, where I'm at now is just crazy. But you know what? I think it has. Inspired kids to really want to play baseball. We're just such a small school that it's hard to get kids to play, and we have such a nice gymnasium and at a high school that it's easier to pull all the kids into basketball. But I think that by me coming through, and it's not just me. There's been some really good baseball players come through our high school that have played junior college and played at the Division I level. But I kind of am the one who just made it to the major league level. And but yeah, I think it does help some of the kids who hey, Brandon Woodruff went to high school here and he played baseball and he's in the big leagues. Like that's a sport I want to play. So and and I hope that continues because it's obviously my high school where I grew up and a place that is very close to me. So
Yeah, and another story that's it seems like a myth about you is that you threw a no hitter, you hit a
yeah,
home run, and you guys lost 2-1. I know you're a team player, so you're not going to rag on any of the teammates, but I'm sure at that point you're probably looking around like, all right, who from the stands
yeah,
can I pull into this game to score me a run? But dude, that actually happened too.
yeah. That one happened. There might have been. So I do vividly remember throwing a no hitter and hitting a home run. And I want to say there was a game where I think we won one or 2-0. But I do remember there was a game where we were at Biggersville High School, and so at that time I would lead off. So because I would basically have one at bat a game, and it was the first at bat of the game. So whatever would happen then, I would just get intentionally walked the next 3 times. And there was a game at Biggersville where I hit a home run to lead off the game. I think I struck out 17 that night, and we ended up getting beat like 3-1.
What?
And I had a no hitter going through 6 2/3, and it's high school 7 innings, and there was a swinging bunt to get the first hit in the last inning. But how they would
Ah,
score is it would be a drop third strike, runner would get on first, and then it would just like be a pass ball or something. I would end up striking out the side, but they might put one in play and would make an error. Okay, there's your run. And we ended up getting beat like 2-1. I think I had like 17 strikeouts and I hit a home run to be like the only run of the game. Yeah,
oh man,
crazy.
that's
I
another
remember that. I
one,
remember that
dude.
night
Just keep on
vividly. Yeah.
chalking up the myths that are actually true.
Oh man.
Now, you really got onto the map with all these scouts and teams and everything like that when you took a
Mhm.
trip out to Oklahoma for a showcase. You were
Yeah.
chucking around like 90 miles per hour, low 90s. And
Yeah.
then things started to pick up.
Hmm.
Obviously, you went to Mississippi State University, but
Yeah.
how many offers did you get, and like how many more teams did you attract just through that one showcase alone in Oklahoma? Because again, especially nowadays, you have to go to showcases. You have to be on those traveling teams in order to
Yeah.
get seen. It's not like you could just play Babe Ruth Little League anymore. Like you have to go to
Yeah.
these things. So how many more eyes and did it open up for you?
I tell you, growing up, I played. So that was really the first. That was like the moment where I kind of was seen by everybody. I was already on like Mississippi State's radar, Ole Miss, Southern Miss, kind of the in-state people. But I was a hitter first. That's what kind of I, I I was a hitter first, and that's what I did. And I just pitched in high school because I could throw hard, and we needed a pitcher, and so I got invited to play on that team. And the first game we had a double. We didn't have a double. We had two games the first day in Oklahoma. The first game I played right field, and then the second game they asked me if I could maybe throw in relief, maybe an inning or two to help out, and I was like, sure. They were like, they knew I threw in high school, or I pitched at my high school, and so we get to that second game, and I'd already had. I was going to get offers from State, Ole Miss, all these teams. I hadn't went on my official visit yet, and of course, all the colleges throughout the country are at this tournament. It's like 10 different states. You play each other, whatever. And I come in that night and I throw two innings, and I was like 92 to 95. Had like four or five strikeouts, and had two clean innings. And then after that, it was like I think there was two pro scouts there. But after that night, I was on the phone with John Cohen, who is the AD at Mississippi State now, and he was my head coach at Mississippi State. I was on the phone with him, and he's like, "Hey, we're going to get you back. We're going to offer you." And that's kind of when it all kind of happened for me. And then that's when the very next week I got a call to play in the Under Armour game. Wasn't even going to play in that game because I was going to miss the first week of high school of my senior year, and I didn't want to go up there and go to Chicago and play in this game because I didn't want to do it. I'd never flown by myself before, so I just didn't want to do all that and try to go play in the game. And at literally the last day, I could decide. I told him I would come play in it, and that was probably one of the greatest things I did because I didn't realize like that put me in front of all the pro scouts up there and getting to play at Wrigley Field. It was cool, and but yeah, that was kind of the first tournament where my journey kind of blew up a little bit. But before that, I played Legion ball. I played American Legion ball, and I played with my best friends back home. And still to this day, we went to a World Series after my senior year, going into my freshman year of college. That's still probably some of the funnest baseball I've ever played. Is just hopping in the car, you drive an hour and a half to these tournaments you're playing around the area, and you just play with your buddies in the summer, and it was so fun. And but I'm sorry if I'm rambling too much, but that's
No,
just kind
you're
of the
good. This is
story.
awesome. This is great. No, you're
That's just
this is awesome, man.
that's
This
kind
is
of the story, and that's how like I know you mentioned the showcase ball is like what kids need to do, and for me it was like I got invited to play at East Cobb, I got invited to play at Jupiter, and all these big, I don't know what they're called, BB, all these wood bat. Anyways, I just at the time I didn't know. My parents just couldn't afford it. Like I just couldn't.
mhm.
I couldn't go play in these tournaments, and so I played with my buddies. I played Legion ball, and I kind of, if I do a speaking engagement or whatever it is here in the area, I always say, you know, if you're willing to put the time and effort in and work and practice and work at being good, they'll find you. Scouts will find you. You know what I mean?
I'm so happy that you said this because now thinking
Yeah,
back, I did say in a kind of a way where it's just like you have to go to these things in order to be seen. But
yeah,
like it's 110% true, more true. What
yeah,
you just said, talent will be found. We just had Randy Dobnak on. The dude went to Division
yeah.
two school,
There
wasn't
you
even
go.
drafted
That's
out of
like
high
a
school.
yeah,
Josiah Gray, Division three. He was also on this. So
yeah,
it's like, dude, yeah, you guys are the perfect example of this, which is why you're the
yeah,
perfect fit for this podcast, Keep Swinging, because it's
yeah,
all about just like motivating and inspiring and stuff like that.
yeah.
And like something else that I think is very important to point out, which right before I get to that, I was laughing in my head as you were talking about Wrigley Field going to the Under
Mhm.
Armour All American game and pitching there. while still in
Yeah.
high school, because who would have thought that X amount of years later you would be pitching there against the Chicago
Uh,
Cubs as a member of the Milwaukee Brewers?
yeah. No, it's crazy,
Yeah.
man. It's wild.
Yeah, so like one thing that I do want to point out, your dad had asked the guy who wanted to sign you with the Texas
Yeah.
Rangers, who had played baseball and both like college and pro, and he said to him, he said,
Yeah.
"Did you play college baseball?" And the guy said, "Yes." And then your dad followed up saying, "Is there any amount of money that you would trade in for that experience?" And he said, "No." And then at that point, your dad says, "All right, what else do we have to talk about?" Yeah,
That
it
rings a
took me a little
bell,
bit to get
and
there, but
that's okay. I remember that, and I wasn't actually around for that conversation that happened, but um, yeah, I remember that, and I remember that the Rangers were really, really hot on me the whole time. They would come to my high school. I would hit for them. I would, take BP because I was something I wanted to do was be a two-way player, and but also like Mississippi State was like I grew up, I grew up in Mississippi State, man. That was my dream school, and I grew up watching Ron Polk. He was the head coach there he's been in baseball for like over 50 years. He's a legend in college baseball. And anyways, that's just where I wanted to go. And it was going to take, I never told the teams what I wanted for money. I just never told them I had a figure in mind. It was going to take life-changing money. That's basically all I would say. And I just never, because that experience to me of going to college, and if I would have been thrown into pro ball as a 18-year-old kid from small town Mississippi who's never been around any other language other than English, I've never been around any Latin players at the time. I just never been in that environment. I didn't know what pro ball was about, right? I just didn't have a clue because I just played ball with my buddies and Legion ball and USSSA growing up, travel ball. I didn't have a clue about pro ball. I thought I was going to go play junior college at the junior college by my house, 5 minutes from my house, and just play JUCO ball, and that'd be it. And I was happy with that. Like that was my dream to do that. And then I started getting noticed from some of these Division I schools, and then when Mississippi State come calling, it was like, man, I have the opportunity to play here. This is my dream school. So it was going to take a lot. And you know what? It was also mentioned too. Hey, you can go play in college ball. Have best 3 years of your life playing the best conference in America, or you can go to Arizona, start out in like the AZL, and it be 120 degrees in summer ball games. You're throwing every day. Looking back, knowing what I know now, I don't think I would be where I'm at today if I didn't go to college, by far, for sure. I
Dude,
I
a
grew up a
hundred
lot.
percent.
Yeah, I grew up a lot. I learned how to live on my own. I learned. I had surgery in college. I went through every bit of adversity you could go through. The pressure of trying to be a first rounder, and just stinking and not being good. And I just learned so much. And if 100% hands down, if I didn't go to college, I don't think I would be sitting where I'm at today. For
Dude,
sure.
yes, 100%, man. And I'm so
Yeah.
happy that you said that, because obviously everybody listening and watching this heard you say about how you come from such a small town. You didn't really know too many people who spoke any English, any language other than English. So
Yeah.
like here you get this opportunity where, hey, Brandon, here's $400,000. Come play for the Texas Rangers minor league
Yeah.
baseball obviously at the time, because you're not going straight to the pros. And
Yeah.
you just had that wisdom, that forward thinking of, I'd actually rather go to college, experience living on my own for a little bit, have fun, and just pursue your passion, which was baseball. That's,
Yeah.
dude, to make that decision, because I guarantee you, 9 out of 10 people, if somebody was just like, "Yo, here's $400,000," they'd be like, "All right, cool. What
Yeah.
jersey do you want me to wear?" So the
Exactly.
fact that you did that, man, I give you credit. That's awesome.
Yeah. There's certain circumstances where, okay, you get it. Like some high school kids, they get the money. Like you can't pass it up, right? Like
Mhm.
for me, I got offered a lot of money. I did get offered a lot of money, but it wasn't enough for me to skip out on that experience. And you know what? I ended up getting hurt and had surgery my sophomore year. If I know what I know now, and I'm in pro ball, and I get hurt, it just like
Yeah.
you're behind the 8 ball, man, and it's just like you know what? Once you get into pro ball and the business of performing, like you don't understand. Like my job is to play baseball, like that. This is my job. As a college kid, you're just worried about playing with your buddies and just having fun. Like you don't have to worry about that. And then you get into pro ball after college and you realize, hey, this is a job. This is something if I want to be good at, I got to work at a lot. I got to be able to do stuff on my own. And and I grew up so much, and you just kind of got to learn pro ball. And once you kind of get the hang of it and realize that it is your job, like it's real, man. And you just got to put in the time of work, and you got to perform. At the end of the day, if you're not good at your job, you're not going to, somebody else can take your job. And this is in real life, and it applies directly to baseball. So
Yep.
you learn those things in college, though. Like you learn that. You learn the work ethic it takes to, because you get thrown in freshman year and you're doing, your first day, you're puking, wondering like, man, I probably should have signed that contract and went to pro ball. But you
Yeah.
grow up and you learn how to work, and you learn how to, for me, this is my experience. I learned this everything I needed to learn in college. Obviously, the baseball side of it, I'm still learning. Like I learn every day. I learn every year. Um, but it's college experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, and like you said too, it is case by case. So sometimes that
Yeah,
400,000 is the right choice to make, but other times when you do have those options, it is definitely important to kind of just thoroughly think about the possibilities and the opportunities that are presented to you. So
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
next big opportunity that you did get, which again, great thing that you went to college, because you know what, you still ended up getting drafted again, this time by the
yeah.
Milwaukee Brewers in the 2014 MLB draft. So, dude, wow, talk about dreams come true, man.
Hey,
This is when people probably started planning this welcome to Wheeler, home of Brandon Woodruff son. They're like, yo, this
yeah.
guy's the real deal. I think
I
it's gonna happen.
I look back, and the pitcher I was coming out of college, and even my first 2 years in the big leagues, I look at myself and I'm like, holy crap! Like this, how much I've learned and how much better I've gotten. And every year is different. You always got to learn something new or get better at something. Then you find out your identity and what you're good at, and then you've got that kind of that foundation. But
For everything in life.
oh
You
yeah,
know, like
man,
especially
gosh,
people listening and watching this, it doesn't just pertain to baseball, it pertains to literally every single thing in life.
literally everything. And I come out, and the biggest thing I needed was a fresh start out of college. I was the Friday night guy for the first 4 or 5 weeks. I kind of stunk. Um, and in college, it's all about winning. If you're not doing what it takes, if you're not getting the job done at winning, because it's such a short season, you're just not. And I understood that. I just wasn't performing, but I knew I had the ability. So, honestly, I kind of was expecting to kind of go on day 2 of the draft, and I didn't. And when I didn't get called on day 2 of the draft, I'm seeing a lot of my buddies that I played with go early, and I'm like, man, I know I can be that type of level. And I just remember scouts were calling. I said, hey, look, at the time, this is the new CBA. So, like, after the 10th round, you could only get $100,000. And that'd be the top after the 10th round. I told the teams, I said, hey, look, you give me $100,000, I'll sign right now. And I'm ready to go get into pro ball. And so I had no idea the Brewers were even on my radar. I didn't even know that they were even wanting to draft me. And got a call from the area scout that drafted me, and signed in an Applebee's. And next day I flew to
Nice.
Helena, Montana, and I was waking up and I was hopping on the yellow school bus to go to practice for the first week, staying in this hotel. And I was like, oh boy, this might have been one of the worst baseball fields I'd been to, by the way, and clubhouse. Short season ball and Frontier League, it's just not good. And that's when I realized, like, man, if I want to work at this and be good, like I've got to really do it, because then you got to move up, and you got to, each level is a little bit nicer, a little bit nicer, a little bit nicer. And but yeah, that's kind of where it all started. And it's just been a crazy, crazy ride.
Yeah, and in 2016, you won the Brewers Minor
Yeah.
League Pitcher of the Year award, which is so cool. And you even got
Yeah.
sent to Milwaukee, and you joined the broadcast. I think you threw out the
Yeah.
first pitch too, right? Or you had some award
No, I didn't
presentation.
throw. No,
Was it?
they did the presentation right before
That's right.
first pitch. Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. So it's like you get that cool experience, and so nice suit, by the way. Very well put together that day.
I don't even know where that thing came from. I think that was probably one of the first times I'd worn one, um, especially for
Well, it
something
looks
like
good.
that. So, yeah, and my style's gotten a little bit better since then, but it's still like just a nice blue suit is just like very classic.
Yeah, yeah. And now, while you had so much success on the baseball field in 2016, in the middle of the season, now going back to your late brother, that so what's going on in through your mind? It's
Yeah.
July. It's in the middle of the baseball season.
Hmm.
How did all the how did it unfold? And man, again, I'm sorry, but
No.
your brother sounded like a great man, and he
Yeah.
helped
Yeah.
mold you into the person that you are today, and he's with you every day.
Oh yeah. There's no doubt. And I've got a pretty cool story about that. So it was in July of 16, and it was just a normal day. I'm at the field. We're in Biloxi, and my my wife had called and said, "Hey, your brother was in a four-wheeler accident. Not sure." So initially I thought like, okay, he might have broke his leg or something. Something, not that bad. But then I got on the phone with my mom, and I could hear it in her voice. I knew it was bad, and it was just basically I needed to go home. And I went in and talked to the manager and said, "Hey, I got to go." And so I live probably 4 to 5 hours from Tupelo. Down in Biloxi, it's about 4 to 5 hours. But um, basically, I hopped in the car, drove back that night, and it was just he was gone. It was basically I had to come in and make the decisions and kind of be that final say. But he ended up passing away, and just dealing with that. And I stayed home, and I actually kept throwing. Like I kept throwing, and kind of kept my arm in shape. And it was weird. I mean, it was just even to this day, it was like a text after every game. And that's kind of the little things. But anyways, I see we're in Pensacola, and I'm home for 10 days. I think it was 4 or 5 days, and I kind of thrown a little bit, and we get back, and just kind of dealing with everything. And like I was saying, it was like after the game, getting that text message of, "Hey man, you look good," just something, after every game. And that's like the little stuff that you miss. And just being able to talk about baseball, and like he's like the biggest baseball fan. Like I think about it all the time. I'm like, I can't. He can't even. He wouldn't even be able to fathom like me, one, playing in the big leagues, two, playing with or against people that he like grew up watching and like he was a big fan of. And then making an all-star game, and then making another one. He wouldn't even like, he would just be going crazy, right? And we love to hunt together. So like that's what I do in the off season. As I hunt, I love to golf, and we would always hunt together. And that's some of the stuff you miss, just hey, just meeting up, me and him go hunting. And now me and my dad go a lot. But yeah, so that was a tough time. I basically had to. It was really tough on my parents for a while, but I kind of had to step into that role of kind of making some decisions for the family. And as a 22-year-old, that's tough. Like you never expect that. And um, so I come back to Pensacola. I remember every detail. Go back to Pensacola, meet up with the team. I go into the manager's office, and he's like, "Hey, if you just want to take another 5 days, kind of get back into the rotation, throw a bullpen." I said, "No." I said, "I'm good." I said, "I'll be ready to pitch, tomorrow," because my day had lined up. And I said, "I don't need it." I said, "I'm ready to go." I said, "I'm ready to pitch." And it was crazy. It was like the weirdest day, like coming to the ball field, walking in to the clubhouse, and it was like I don't know, it was just weird. It was just a weird feeling, go through my routine. And I remember walking out to the field and it being like the calmest, like just this weird calm about going out and warming up and being the first outing after, you know, that accident. And it was weird. So I'd gotten through 3 perfect innings, and I think I come up to bat. It might have been the top of the fourth or whatever, and come up, got 2 strikes on me. I'm hitting. You start hitting in Double-A and as a pitcher, and I had 2 strikes on me, and I was able to hit a home run. And what was crazy is that the wind that day was blowing like 20 mile an hour straight in. Balls are dying. Like guys that hit balls, crush balls, center field. It was can of corn. I get up and I hit this ball, and I thought like, okay, it's just going to hang up in the wind. I pulled it, and this thing just kept going. And there's no doubt in my mind, like he pushed that ball out. To this day, ended up throwing like 6 scoreless with like 10 strikeouts. We ended up winning 1-0, and that was the only run of the game. It was crazy.
Wow.
Something kind of out of a movie. Yeah.
Dude, just got the chills.
Crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. Dude, he was definitely with you that day.
It's
wow.
wild. Yeah. 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 And then, I mean, there's another story. I'm sure we'll get to it in 2018 in the playoffs. I'm sure that question's coming, but with the home run and all that. So I'll wait and tell it then. But
dude, let's just get to it right now, dude. This is man. So, yeah. Wow.
Flash forward. That was in 16. 17 ended up making my debut. I think I had 8 starts that year. So coming into 18, it was one of those where your fringe kind of, like, all right, am I going to make the opening day roster? Am I not? I come into 18. If it wasn't for a couple of injuries, looking back now, I wouldn't have made the opening day roster that year, but I did in 18. So we open up, and I had no idea that my year was going to turn out the way it did. And I was up and down, I think 6 times that year. And, sometimes council in spring training always kind of brings up that scenario a lot of just, when we have team meetings, and like, he's like, I know Woody wouldn't want, he's like, he was pissed at us for sending him up and down so many times that year. And I really was, but then I accepted it, and I was like, you know what, I can learn from this. I can get better. I can work. So I was up and down a lot that year. Made some starts, come out of the bullpen. And so there was a night, and we were in Pittsburgh, and I was up for a few days. I knew I was getting sent down in a couple of days. I come in a game, we're going to be like 7-0 in Pittsburgh, and I ended up, I hit a home run, my first career home run in the big leagues. And exciting, I'm jacked up, and we're getting beat like 7-0. And looking back now, just, okay, pitcher hit a home run, that's awesome, but we're like getting beat. So it's kind of like, yeah, the pitcher hit a home run, whatever, but it's like, oh, we're getting our crap pushed in right now. So flash forward to September. I got sent down one time. I was expecting to come up in like August and kind of finish out the year. So I didn't get called up until September. And I remember coming in, and I was like, all right, I can't get sent down. And since September, 40-man rosters, expanded rosters, I can't get sent down. Minor league season's over. And I was coming out of the bullpen, so I was kind of like a long relief pitcher at that time for certain situations. And I think I had like 12 or 13 innings that month in September, and I think I given up 1 run, and had a bunch of strikeouts. And this is the first year I started to learn the power of 2 fastballs. That's when I started implementing a 2-seam and a 4-seam fastball. And I remember we ended up winning game 163 in Chicago to win the division. I remember Hader was pitching, and he was in his 2nd inning, and then I ended up warming up. I was warming up in the 9th inning, potentially had to come in if things kind of got crazy. So you're talking about like a whirlwind of like game 163 in Wrigley, places absolutely nuts. And I'm warming up. Hopefully, like if I go in, it's not good. So I'm glad I didn't pitch that game. But we get to the playoff time when we're playing the Rockies, and I remember we had a practice the night before game 1 of the NLDS, and I'm like, dude, I don't even know if I'm making the team. I don't even know if I'm making the postseason roster. Had no idea. And I could kind of get the sense they're calling in people throughout practice, like, hey, come in, tell them, hey, we're, probably not going to make the postseason roster, but stick around, you'll never know what can happen. So my name never got called. I go in, I shower, I go get some dinner in the food room, and as I'm about to leave, Counts says, "Hey Woody, come here." I'm like, shoot, like I didn't make the postseason roster. So I'm walking in, and he's like, "Hey," he said, "Look," he said, "you've done really well, this last month." He's like, "You're going to start game 1 tomorrow," and I was like, I kind of stopped, and I was like, okay. I said, all right. I said, let's do it. And not having really that much time to think about it, he was just like, hey, go out there, do your thing. We'll get you out when the time's right. So I was like, okay, I got no pressure. Like, he's going to come get me, like, if anything gets out of crate. So I just got to go out there and be myself and continue to do what I did for that whole month. So it was crazy. Anyways, go out there, 3 perfect innings, had 3 or 4 strikeouts, and we ended up winning the first 3 games, and just threw really well. I did pitch again that series. So then we get to game 1 of the NLCS, and we're playing the Dodgers, and Kershaw's on the mound, and we got Gio Gonzalez going for us. And I remember walking into the tunnel, going out into the dugout, and I remember Counts saying, he's like, hey, just be ready at any time. And looking back now, like, they had the plan. Like, I had no idea, but they had this stuff planned out. Like, they knew when they were going to use it. And Burns was in the same role. Like, we would bridge that middle gap to get the Knable and Hader and Jeffries and these guys at the end of the game. But at the time, you didn't know. You're just like, man, I'm freaking in the playoffs, just doing whatever I can to pitch. And so I remember him saying that, and we had no idea that Gio was going to go like 2 innings. He was going to only see the lineup 1 time. I had no idea. So second inning, he goes, hey, they call down and they get me up, warming up in the bullpen. I'm warming up, potentially to come in. So it gets to the 3rd inning, and I'm in the game, right? So I'm coming in, and of course I know my spot in the lineup is coming up. Like, I didn't know if I was going to throw 1 inning or if I was going to hit and go back out. So I throw the first inning. I think I had, it was a clean inning or whatever. And I come in, and, they're like, you're going to hit. And Counts is like, hey, just see a pitch. He's got the weird timing with his delivery. And of course, like Kershaw, like, and funny now, like, I've talked with him multiple times. I've, had conversations with him. I had, last spring, had dinner with him, just like I was living with Josh Lindblom, who is with us, and him and Clayton are really good friends anyways. So we get to that at bat, and I see the first pitch. I can take you through every pitch. First pitch was a ball. Second pitch, he painted like down and away. And if there's one thing about Clayton, it's like, he'll throw the glove side fastball, and then he just throws that slider right off of it. And it's like what he does. It's like, he's been doing it for 12 years, and he's a Hall of Famer. Like, this dude's unbelievable. And grew up watching Kershaw. And so the third pitch, same spot, dot, down the way. These balls look like they're way off. They're perfect strikes. So the next pitch, I'm down 1-2, and I'm just telling myself, like, get my foot down, try to foul him off, try to, just make him throw as many pitches as he can. And the next pitch he threw was a curveball, his signature curveball. Thing comes from the heavens and completely buckled me. If you see my knees, completely buckled me. Thank goodness it was a ball, because I couldn't swing at it. And so now it's 2-2. So the next pitch, same thing, get my foot down, try to hit, try to foul him off. He throws a fastball away. I foul it back. And then the very next pitch, same thought. He made a mistake, and it was just one of those that was right down the middle. I was not trying to do too much. I hit it, and it was one of those where I didn't feel the bat off the barrel, just didn't feel anything. And I remember hitting it and seeing the flight of the ball, and I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I got him. Like, I got him. And so I'm running, and then I look at Bellinger, and when I see Bellinger pull up at the track, that's about the time I'm hitting first base, and I basically blank out. Like, I had that experience where I don't really remember running from to second base, and I know I'm going crazy. And then I don't really remember running from second to third. I remember our third base coach, Ed Cedar, I remember giving him a high five. And me and Lorenzo talk about this. Kane, he was on deck. We talk about this all the time. Like, if you watch the video and I come in and like I'm just in a different world right now, right? I touch home, I give him this high five, and if you watch, his hand goes from here like straight back. I'm surprised I didn't rip. He's like, dude, I thought you ripped everything in my shoulder. And I'm just like, adrenaline is out the roof. And I'm going to the dugout. I don't know what's going on. I'm going crazy. I'm yelling. And this is a cool part about it. After I come back through, I remember Bronny on the top row was like, come out. He's like, come out. The fans are going crazy. He's like, do it. You know, kind of wanting me to do it. Like an encore or whatever. And I just didn't really, I can remember hearing a little bit of him but I just don't really, I was just kind of in a zone. And I remember Curtis Granderson coming up. We just got him at the trade deadline that year. He comes over and he's like, hey, he's like, I know you just hit the biggest home run of your life. He said, but you got to go back out and pitch. He said, you need to go back here in the room, sit in the chair, catch your breath, and refocus. And if it wasn't for Curtis telling me that, I would have been still slinging bats, probably punching. I don't know what I'd have been doing.
Yeah.
But he told me that, and I go back, I get settled down, catch my breath. And I remember it was no outs. I would let off that inning. So I had time to do that, but then went out and I think I struck out the side the next inning. And what this leads me to the story kind of about my brother. And it was like, you go back and you think about everything. It's like there's 100% he was there with me because my parents had, they had came up for that game. They didn't come to the NLDS. They came to the championship series because we made it there, and they were just so happened to be there for that night. I think my uncle, my cousin were there. I hit the home run, and it's like the reporters, some of our beat writers are trying to interview them. They can't even like do the interview because they're crying because they it's like thinking about my brother. So that was just a crazy night, and that's something that. And I remember my mom was actually filming it when I was hitting. She was filming the video on her phone, and it was crazy because then like you see me swing and hit, and it was just like she dropped her phone because she was like watching it, and the place is going crazy. And so yeah, I remember seeing them in the tunnel after the game, and like they couldn't even hardly talk, like because they're like they're trying to interview us and and all this, and they were just talking about Blake and all this and about my brother and stuff. So it was crazy. There was no doubt that he was there for that one for sure.
Oh, unbelievable, man.
Yeah,
And thank you
crazy.
so much for sharing that awesome story and just being comfortable and telling us about that, because obviously it's definitely moments that are close to you and a big event in your life. So I appreciate your humbleness and humility and sharing that, man. But wow, what a moment. And yeah, if you guys haven't seen this home run, you have to Google it or YouTube it, whatever. You got to check it out. And like Brandon said, the dude was pumped. He was jacked rounding the base. And then when he got inside the dugout, hey, Curtis Granderson, the little angel on your shoulder over there, it made a good call too, because like you said, you still have to go out and pitch, which you end up striking out the side. So this might single-handedly be one of the best postseason performances by a pitcher in a nutshell.
Postseason is just such a different feel, a different level of focus. And it's my favorite. We've been lucky enough. We've went 4 years in a row, and it is my favorite baseball in the world. And I think it's a time when I perform my best. I don't, it's just, I can't really explain it. It's just the funnest baseball you can play. And when during the regular season crowds, there's times you play in front of packed houses, but you get to the playoffs, it is just a different level of energy, and it is the funnest baseball you can play by far.
Dude, yes. So, man, your career's off to a hot start at this point. And then 2019, you end up making your
Yeah.
first All-Star game. Man, what an
Yeah.
accomplishment that is. Like, you are just riding this wave and you're really making an impact at the big league level. It's
Yeah.
dude, this is such a dream come true for you, man. Again, just a small town kid now being in the
Yeah.
big leagues, just playing like a boss. Dude, Clayton Kershaw, like you said, future Hall of Famer, easy.
Yeah.
But like, dude, so and on a more serious note, I know I kidded around before about this is when they started to make the "Welcome to Wheeler" Homer Brandon Woodruff sign
Yeah.
when you had gotten drafted, but like they literally that's when they made the sign for you is after that first All Star
I
game
think so.
in
Yeah. I think it
2019.
was.
So it's like,
Yeah.
dude, that's how you know that it was getting real. It's just like, God damn,
Yeah.
this is nuts, man. So one of the things that I love about the fact that you made the All Star game in 2019 and 2020, you had a great season as well.
Hmm.
But then 2021, you make the All-Star team and you got to share that experience with your family and your
Yeah.
newborn. Man,
Yeah.
so like this is crazy. You go from just you and your wife in 2019. Now you got a family that you get to share these new experiences with. And
Yeah.
as we all know from listening to your stories, you're a family guy. So, man, how special was that for you to be able to go to the home run derby with your daughter and just
Yeah.
all of you just be together?
Yeah. Um, so the first All Star game, like never in a million years would I ever think like that was the first time I really thought back over my career, and it was like, man, this is like you as a kid, you grew up watching all these home run derbies and the guys sitting on the down the foul lines and bring them Gatorade at home plate and all this um and then I remember you're in a room with just some absolute studs, right? Like guys who Scherzer, DeGrom, Kershaw, my first one, and you're just in a room full of guys who have had multiple All Star games and future Hall of Famers. And I just remember sitting there as my first one, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. I'm just like looking around the room. I'm not saying a word. I'm kind of keeping to myself. And lucky enough, I had four of my teammates there, so I had them to talk to, but I tried to talk to some of the other guys, pick their brains, and that was just like the coolest part. But I remember the surreal moment is sitting there watching that home run derby on the field. I didn't even film anything because I didn't have my phone. I was just like watching. I was like, I still vividly remember all this, and I just didn't even pull my phone out the video. Um, I just remember sitting there watching. I'm like, this is like the coolest thing ever. Because as a kid, you're sitting there watching on ESPN, you're watching it, and now I'm on this field watching these dudes do it, and it was the coolest thing ever. And then getting to pitch in the game was awesome, and that whole experience. And then, flash forward to 21, was able to make it again, and but now I've got a daughter, and that's another moment where you see guys who have their kids running around in the field, have them on the side with them, watching the home run derby, and I'm actually getting to hold my daughter with me, and it was the best thing ever. And just getting to see her face kind of just, of course, now she's more animated. She knows what's going on more than she did, just 6-7 months ago or 6 months ago, whatever it was. But it was just so cool being able to hold her. And this time I did get pictures. I did take videos. I did do this because now when I look back on this, when I'm done with my career, it's like, and she's grown up, I can always pull that up and just say, look, your dad was kind of, good for a year here, and you got to hang out with him at the All-Star game. It's pretty, it's pretty special. So that's something I'll cherish forever. Hopefully I can make some more and see, and have more kids and have them experience it because it's really cool.
Man, I love seeing the photos of you guys there and some of the videos, of course, during the derby and just that one picture of the both of you standing there on the side of the field. It's just so awesome. It made me so happy. And then
Yeah.
I'm checking out the other photos. I'm like, dude, this guy, he is not only is he the man, but he's a great dad. And like you just dressed up recently as Mickey Mouse and your wife, and
Oh yeah.
I love that, man. You dressed up as the
Yeah.
Avengers one year, like, dude, you
Yeah.
will do anything for your daughter
Oh,
and your future
just talked
kids and
about it
your
today.
future
It was
family
like
members. You know?
I just asked my wife today. This is crazy. You just said that you do anything. I was like, we were just talking about. It was like if somebody come up to us and wanted said, "Hey, you you either die or your daughter. What are you going to do?" And it's like, hands down, you can kill me right now, shoot me
Yeah.
dead if my daughter
Yeah.
gets to live. Like, what, you know what I mean? Like, that's the type of love. Like, I didn't realize it until I had my own kid, but yeah, it's real, man. There's no love like love for your kid, and you will happily lay down your life for your own child, no doubt.
For sure. And going back to the onesie thing, I mean, just last week, our newborn, he was just laughing at cows. He was just watching TV. I think it was Mighty Beam or something. He was just laughing at
Yeah,
cows. So
yeah.
I was like, this is actually pretty funny. So I went ahead online and ordered cow onesies for
There
him,
you go.
me, my wife, and even got the dog a couple of cow toys. So that
Look,
Friday
oh,
night, we had a little cow party because we're just like, yo, if this what makes the kids happy, let's do it. Let's surprise them. We could all dress up as cows,
exactly.
have fun. That's what life's about, you know?
Same. Kyler, she loves Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, so Minnie Mouse is probably her favorite. So we got a bunch of Minnie Mouse stuff.
Yes. Now, are
Yeah,
you going to introduce Chipotle to her earlier than you were? Because you're, I would say,
yeah,
somewhat of a fairly new Chipotle guy, given the time that you introduced it into your life. It wasn't all
yeah,
that long ago.
yeah. I
When
can
I
tell
saw
you,
that, I was like, man, like, because that was 2013, so that was when you were at Mississippi State University, right?
sophomore, yeah, sophomore in
Sophomore year,
college,
yeah,
and we were in
dude.
the.
What took you so long? You're just hanging out at Applebee's.
So I tell you, there you go, small town, man. We don't have Chipotle. We don't have this stuff, and it's like
You
I
got
get
the Eagle's
Starkville didn't even
Nest.
have one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Eagles Nest. Yeah, the Wheeler Country Store. That's what we got. We got some
Yeah.
hamburgers and hot dogs you can go get. But no, they didn't even have Chipotle in Starkville at the time, and that's all you heard: Chipotle, Chipotle this, Chipotle that. Those big burritos, bigger than your head. And it was SEC tournament in Birmingham, and I was hurt. I had surgery at the time, so I didn't have to be at the field till like game time. So me and my wife went and got one, and that was the first time I had it when I was 19, 20. Yeah. So, and you hear about it, and now Tupelo, where I was born, we currently live in Saltillo, which is the next town um, up from Tupelo. But Tupelo, they're building a Chipotle right now. So
Ooh,
exciting
there you
times.
go.
Tupelo is just now getting one. So
If Elvis was still around, he'd probably write a song about
dude, he'd probably write a song about a big old burrito.
Yeah, and a couple other things that that I guess you could say that you love, assuming that you're a big time Chipotle lover,
Yeah,
is that like you said, hunting. You love to go
yeah,
hunting. I love
yeah,
some of the videos that you had posted, just like with the dogs and stuff like that out there. I
yeah.
got Lil P right next to me right now. I'd love to take Piper out one day just to see how she'd act, because she's got some terrier in her,
Hmm.
which I know your terrier does not go out there with you guys.
No,
Though,
we got
yeah,
a we
not
got a
yet. I
Boston
know.
Terrier. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so like when it comes to like hunting, like how relaxing is that for you? And like I've never gone hunting, but for anybody who sees the photos of you going hunting, like what does it mean to you? Like how much you love it?
It's something that as far back as I can remember, it's something my dad's always done. He's taught me everything he knows about hunting. Me and my dad and my brother enjoyed growing up. And you know what? There's a lot of people in baseball who are outdoorsmen. Love it. I
Yep.
think it's just natural being outside. But it's something where uh, I don't hunt to just go out there and just kill an animal just to kill it, right? So we were always taught, when you go out and hunt, you're hunting to one to kill, but to eat it. Like we eat everything off the animal. Nothing gets wasted, and that's just kind of always the way I was growing up. So yeah, it's nice to kill a big buck. It's nice to have the horns. Like that's in a proper way. You want to let them get to a certain age. There's just a lot of things about hunting that you do, but um, you know when you go out and you hunt, you're sitting in a tree and it's peaceful. You hear the birds, you see the squirrels, you see sometimes raccoon, whatever you see in the wild. You see stuff that you would never think you would see, and cool stuff. And the peaceful part of it, you just got done playing for spring training through a full season, 7 months or so, and you finally get home, and hunting season opens October 1st in Mississippi. So hopefully we're still playing in the playoffs, but when you get home, it's just a time to relax. And my hunting slowed down a lot since we've had our daughter, but just being able to go out, sit in the woods, and see these animals like in the wild, just either walk by you or see them from a distance and just watch them, even if you don't kill one, it's peaceful, so peaceful. And just being out there by yourself and being in a tree, and it's the best. And I'm sure you saw we did a fishing like a charity fishing event
Yes.
this off season. So it was put on by the MLF and Major League Baseball, like Major League players, and then like MLF, Major League Fishing. So some of their guys joined. So we basically paired up with Major League Fishers and went out on Lake Guntersville, and it was like a charity. It was a charity tournament, and we came in on a Friday, had a nice dinner, got paired with our partners. Saturday went on a practice fish, hung out at this Dream Ranch in Guntersville on the side of the lake, and then Sunday we did the fishing tournament, and it was to raise money for the MLF's foundation for kids to get out and to learn about conservation, get out in the outdoors, maybe help them get a fishing pole to start fishing or whatever it is. But that's something that I'm obviously passionate about. So when I had the opportunity to do it with some of my buddies and teammates and buddies from other teams, like it was a no-brainer. And like I love to fish, but I don't really get out on the boats and do big water fishing. I say big water, I'm not talking like the ocean, but like big lakes. It's a lot different than what I grew up fishing in creeks, fishing in little ponds and little big lakes and stuff. So I learned so much from my guy that I fish with, Casey Ashley, and he's unbelievable. And they're just it's so similar. Like when at the top of their level, they have to do certain things and prepare and focus just like we do, and they get to fish. But it's awesome. But being outdoors for that event was really fun.
Yeah, like you said, I could see how it could be nice and peaceful, especially when you're just listening to
Yeah,
the birds or just like in nature. And
yeah,
yeah, a lot of baseball players, man, you guys love to hunt. It's wild how many baseball players love to hunt. And I know our boy
yeah.
Josh Hader does too, but
Yes,
and he's
yeah,
one of your teammates currently. But
yep,
yeah, he loves to
yeah,
hunt. So, and you mentioned that whatever you do catch, you ended up you do end up
yeah,
cooking and eating and stuff like that.
yes.
So, how often are you grilling on that Traeger grill in your front yard,
Oh
or
yeah,
did you end up putting it
yeah.
in the backyard?
Man, I tell you what, right now it's in my garage, and I pull it out into the front driveway, and I hook this thing up, man. It's a cheat code. It cooks so good. And
Yeah.
man, it's awesome. I love cooking. I love cooking. Sometimes we go hang out at our neighbor's house every Friday night, and I'll cook. We have a different theme kind of every Friday, and sometimes I'll cook a whole chicken. I'll cook some chicken wings. I'll cook steak. Steaks is probably my favorite thing to do. Reverse syrup on the Traeger, and it is, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. But yeah, I mean, whatever we kill, we eat it, and deer meat is some of the finest meat you can have, and it's really lean, which is good for during the off season. I'm trying to lean up a little bit and put some muscle on. Man, I got some of the best meat you can eat.
Dude, this is great, man. I want everybody to be able to see what it is that you're cooking, all those good wings and everything else that you're doing on the baseball field as well too. So, how can everybody follow you on social media? Where do you want everybody to go?
Probably Instagram is the easiest. That's where I'm most active. That's what I use the most. And it's you know what, I tell you, a good follow. I love following people who, and I just don't do it myself. I love following people who put out the content, who show you what you basically do throughout a day. And for me, like I love watching some of the other guys in Major League Baseball that I follow, and just seeing what they do throughout the day, and in the off season, kind of their weight training and stuff like that. I love watching that, and I love seeing what they're kind of doing. And I can't imagine, like, fans, I know that that's the content they want to see, and just at home with my daughter and my wife and family and friends and stuff. And but I just don't post enough. And that's something, and that was part of the reason why I wanted to get on this podcast with you, is to kind of help me get that out there a little bit. And, maybe that this will inspire me to post a little bit more and give fans kind of that inside look. So, Instagram is probably the easiest to follow me.
Dude, big time. I bet that whether people follow you after this or no matter what, you're going to be inspired, motivating somebody out there. So this is just so awesome that we did this, man. Brandon Woodruff, thank you so much for hopping on. Keep swinging, my brother.
You got it. Keep swinging.